Welcome everybody, Steve here. My next project. We got a 39 Chevy and my job is just to look after some of the rust. So, gonna be kind of a fun job. Don't have to do a complete paint on this or anything like that. Budget does not allow it, but that's okay. You can see that there's some serious rebuilding that needs to happen here, but 37, that's pretty old. I think it deserves to have a little bit of rust. And then down below here, same thing. So we got quite a bit of work to do here in the back. And of course, you know, you got your typical stuff out here. But it's a nice little car. My brother's already done a whole bunch of work to this, dropped a little 350 into it, and tolerances are pretty small. There's not too much room, but he was able to get her to fit. On these, it's steering that's always the toughest, always, and he was able to snake it around and make it work. Should be pretty good. So, it's my turn. Let's get some welding done. I'm just cleaning up, just getting started here, and first thing I got to do here is I got to make the fender kind of fit. And whoever did any of the metal work on this is one of the worst examples I think I've ever seen in my life, and it's absolutely brutal. But we're going to do our best, you know, take out what we have to, and you know, we don't want to go overboard and, you know, turn this into a $50,000 paint job. But we got to make it look good, and it's got to be right. So this was sticking out too far, and we got nowhere to bolt to, so I've got to make some little things to weld in there so that we can bolt it up. There's a lot of work just to get started with the rust work, but those are the things you got to do, and it's coming. I've welded in two of those little things I built. I'm going to show you here in a minute what I am going to use to bolt this up. There are easier ways to do it. You could just weld a nut on there, but in the long run they don't really work very well on vehicles. So I'll show you what I do. Okay, let's see if that fender fits. No, not yet. Okay, so we got the fender fitting kind of half-assed. Now we got to, this is going to be our first panel that we're going to build. And it's kind of important because the fender bolts onto it. So it's going to go in there like something like that. I kind kind of got a bent, just a little bit of bend just to kind of fit the fender. So first thing we got to do is we got to weld on some nuts on this side so that we can bolt that fender on. It's going to kind of look like that one right there. So here's my thinking here. Now it would be really easy just to weld a nut on the, just drill a hole and weld a nut on there. But when you're tightening it down, it can really easily spin out. So I like to build these, you know, I guess you call this almost like a T-nut, I guess. And then I just weld it on there. That way it spreads out all the forces, and then it won't spin out as easily. Now, the originals are very similar to this. They have they're threaded in the middle, and then they have a tab coming down on each side, and then that just goes through a slot, and then they're bent over, and that's what holds it in. So these are very, very similar to the original, but I'm going to be welding them in. I'm not going to be building no little tabs. And hopefully these holes that I've marked are going to work. We're going to find out in a little while. Okay, I'm just going to tack these on. You don't really need too much of a weld. You know, maybe a 3/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch on each side should be good. Okay, I bolted the fender on. You can see this big gap right here. I think I'm going to have to cut something out of here, because you know, this has all been redone and done horribly. So I think that they brought it too far out. This little chunk here is original, so that means that that fender does have to go this way. So I guess we just get the grinder out, start cutting. I think we kind of got her. That gap, I can live with that. I did a little tapping on this spot here just to bring it out, and seemed to be working okay. So now we just have to weld on a new lip here, and we're good to go. A little rough in here. Okay, everywhere where there needs to be a bolt or a nut on the other side, of course, it's rusted out. So I'm just building a panel. I'll put my T-nut on there, and then we just got to figure out how to weld that in there. Minor. We'll just make this patch fit that hole perfectly, and then I can just get in there and tack it in. And I'm just going to tack it just in case, you know, something's way out and needs to be tuned. That's pretty close. Looks good. Okay. I've been working on this for quite a while now, and just to get this gap right, this little piece right here is the only piece that is original. And I finally got the fender to match up to that little spot. Like, if you're doing rust work, if you can leave the original stuff somewhere for reference, that's the only way to success, because if you know, somebody had cut this out of here, we'd just be doing this blind. So this is close, so now we have to go on the inside and weld our little bolt-on piece there. I'll show you that right now. Okay, this piece right here, this is bolted onto the fender, and I'm just going to tack it onto here, and what we'll do is we'll cut it and butt weld it later. But we got to get this secure, and then we got to secure this to the body with a piece right there. So I'll weld that up and somehow get that piece to fit in there, and see if I can tack that on too. Finally got the fender fitting pretty good. So now I've just welded in this piece here. I've just tacked it into a few places, make sure it's all going to be good, and I'm pretty happy with it. So now I'm just making some slits here so I can just bend this over because it's sticking up a little bit, and then I can weld this all up, make it look pretty. It's coming along slowly though. Man, that's a tough job. It's fitting pretty good there now, but this is so bad that I'm just going to make a new piece here. So I got to fix this fender up, make sure that it's right so I get the right contour. And I'll probably just build the panel to the fender and then do this. I'm going to do this in two pieces. Probably go about here, and then the rest of it I'll probably redo all this, because this is about as bad as I think I've ever seen. So all I did, just took a chunk of metal, put a 90 in it, and now I'm just trying to shape it to the fender here. It would be nice to have a shrinker. That would make life a lot easier. Then I won't have to weld up all these little grooves on there. But that's okay. We just get her close. You know, chances are it's going to be body worked, so that looks pretty good. this kind of tacked in there. We're not exactly sure how it's going to go yet, but because this is on a curve and this was bent on a 90, because it makes it easier to make this bend, I just got to make a cut here now and tap this in to match the profile of the fender. I think it'll work. Well, I got this patch fitting pretty good. But what I did decide, I decided I was going to cut this edge off instead of welding all those little grooves, and get this as close as I could, and then I'll just cut a piece and weld it in over here. I think that's going to be easier. I think it's going to fit okay. Alright, made me a new lip, so I'm just going to tack it in there, and I'm just going to tack it a few spots. I don't want to weld it permanently, just in case I have to cut it. You never know, right? Get the fender back on there, see how she's going to look. I think she's going to be fine. Alright, just made this piece, and it's going to fill in this big hole that's still here. But what's important here is I've got to mark where like the fender is going to bolt onto here. So I'm just going to tack it into place, and then we'll figure out where that bumper or that fender has to go, and then we can tack it in there. Looks pretty good. I think what I should do is make some indicator marks so I know exactly where it goes back on. Probably a smart idea. It goes there. I think that'll work. Okay, I'll tack that on, and then we'll have to put the fender back on. Alright, I got that little piece in there. I got the nuts welded on the back. And I'm just going to tack it in, and I think I'm going to start working on the other side just to make sure that both sides are going to be the same. So we're on the passenger side here now. Put the fender up, and it is a lot better. I have to cut out near the back here because they've wrecked this, but I give this a bit of a buff right here, and this is all fairly, this is all original, not like the other side. The other side's been fixed from here to here. So I had to redo the whole thing. There's a bunch of stuff that's been repaired here we'll have to fix. I'll probably cut this out. But funny, this is all, oh, this is a lot better. But up here where the fender bolts in, there's just nothing left anywhere. So I'm gonna have to spend some time and figure out where the bolt holes go and repair all that rust first, I think. And then I think we're gonna have a lot more fun making this fender fit. Yep. It's gonna be good. You can see how bad this is, and it all needs to be repaired. But somewhere along the line there, we got to bolt the fender up. So I got to make it look like, ooh, that's a little bright. There we go. I will make it look like the other side, which looks pretty clean. Once I get it welded up, tuned up with a grinder. So let's get started on that. So I got this, this piece up here is all tacked in. Looks good. But I want to finish up where we bolt into. I got 2 good ones and that's it. And then the rest I'm gonna have to build patches and stick a nut on there so that I can bolt the fender on. So I think that's what I'm gonna do next. Get that done. That way I can bolt the fender up.
What location is?
Like on the other side, we're going to replace this little spot right here. It's just an absolute brutal repair and nothing fits. So I'm just flanging up this little panel here, kind of starting to make it fit. I think that'll work. So then all I'm going to do is just mark it, and then we'll tack it, and then we'll cut it straight with the fender, and then put a lip on it. That sounds really easy. Alright. Felt pen is starting to run out. think that looks pretty good. So now what we can do is, now we have to weld the lip on the inside of this. That should work out pretty nice. I got the perfect little chunk of metal here, so I'm just going to put it up against here and draw her out. Whoops. Sure is. Yeah, there we go. I'm just working on this panel here before I weld this on, just to make it a little easier to fit up. And then I think what I'm going to do is, I still have to replace some of this stuff up here. It's pretty rough, but that's going to be easy because this is the last piece of the puzzle to make that fender fit. Then we have to tack it in, and then I got to mark where the bolt holes go. Pull it out again, weld on some back nuts, and I think this this side is just about done. Well, other than, you know, 3 or 4 hours of welding and grinding, but that's all right. You turn the brain off. This job here, you know, if it was all original, I would probably spend half the time on it, but because somebody did a horrible job of fixing it, you know, you're basically just welding in the wind is what you're basically doing, and it's tough. But we're getting there. It's all looking good. Just takes longer. So this piece here will go in behind everything. Make sure those threads are good. You don't want to do this when you got the fender on and you can't get the bolt in. This is the important piece right here. So we really got to get her lined up nice. Now we can tack this on. I got one little tack there. And then we put fender on and see how she looks. Alright, I think the fender's fitting pretty good. So now it's time to just pop that off, and then we can start doing a little bit of welding and fix that little lip on the top. I think this side's kind of flanged up, and then we can move on to something else. Well, this concludes this episode of working on the 39. And the welding's coming along, but there's lots to go. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.